What's up YouTube? Today's tutorial is going to be a video on something that I've already done before, which is going to be a tutorial about hair basics and how to do hair in the card maker. Now that video was a long time ago, so over the months and months of practicing cards, I've learned a few tips and tricks and the do's and some do's and don'ts of hair. So I'll show you guys that today. Also, this is a sneak peek at the next card that's coming, or the next tutorial that's coming. It's going to be Ellen Joe from Zenless Zone Zero. But of course, I kind of wanted to put out the hair tutorial first before I, show you guys how to do this. But this isn't the only one. I got 3 cards in store for you guys: Ellen Joe, Nezuko, and I forgot what this character was from, but this character is from Limbus Company. This character is from Limbus Company, but she'll also be one of them. And these are going to be coming up at a later date. But for this video, it's going to be about how to do hair in the card maker. The place that we should start first is how to do kind of like simple curves with hair color. Now I've already done free run before, but I think like free run's one of the most consistent and simple design hair wise to do. So I'll just start with her right here. So in order to do free run's hair, right, I'm kind of looking at how I should break it down here. The first thing you should look at is, are there curves, right? When there are curves in store, there are curves in here, as you can see. When there are curves in store, you're looking at a heart or a circle, okay? A heart or a circle for the curves. But at first glance, we could see these pieces of hair right here. Looks like the end or the tip of a heart, right? Right here. So let's just put that in for the tip of the heart right here. Goes like this. And this is not a tutorial on like how to do this design right here straight up. It's just a little, tutorial on how to do the hair style right here. And it looks like, and she has 2, right? So we got to put another one over here, like so. And make sure that where these pieces meet up are kind of like in the middle right here, right? So let's turn these black, this and this too, and then we're gonna copy that. We're gonna copy it and go over it with the white so that we get the white hairline right here, like so. Along with this one too. Get the white hairline. Then we could see that her hair right here has 3 distinct curves right here. So what we can do is we could get a circle, bring that all the way to the back right here, turn this black, and then get a white circle and kind of go over it, the tip right here, just to where it meets up with the tip of the heart right here, because see, it meets up with the tip of the heart right here. So we're gonna make sure that that curve meets up at the tip of the heart like this. Now, since we got all that curves and stuff ready, it's time to add in the hair color. And it's white here, but let's make it gray like this, just to kind of separate it, right? Let's make it gray. And then we're going to copy this black circle right here that we had for the hair outline and turn it gray. And now we can see that we got the hair color inside. Now we are missing the outline for the inside of the circle right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy the black again, and we're going to bring it to just underneath the white right here, like so that we can make that line that we wanted to right here. There we go. And then for free, we're just going to do that 2 more times over here and then 2 more times over here. Let's try to do that over here as well, just to be consistent right here. Black. Copy it, go over it with the white, like so. Okay, copy with the white, and then once again go in with the gray right here, and then copy the black again for the inner line right here. There we go. Now as you can see, we have it all in there, but there are little blemishes here and there. As you can see, if we change the white right here to like a different color, we see that the white is popping up into this hair right here, and if we don't fix that, it's going to be a little bit messy, right? So what we want to do to fix this is we're just gonna bring the white circle down just enough right here so that we cannot see it anymore where these pieces of hair is supposed to be. So like right here, like so, like that, and then bring the black outline to down here so that we don't see it sticking out anymore over here. And that is, you just do this a couple more times, and that's how you do free rinse hair. And that's just the basics of like hair curves and stuff like that, right? Now, once you get everything in here, you're gonna notice that these two curves are fairly equidistant and similar together, right? Or like similar shapes together. So when this happens, what you can do is, instead of using 8 layers, we could change that and simplify that down to just 4 layers. Because what we can do is we could substitute these layers for one big layer right here. And what I like to do is, when I'm putting down hair, I don't really think about this because I just want like the hair pieces where they need to go. So I'm just doing it and wasting layers. But at the end of everything, when I want to optimize the hair layers, this is what I do. So if I see this like kind of pattern where the hair is sort of similar in shape and kind of like equidistant from each other, I take either a heart or a circle and change the transparency down right here like this, and kind of try to trace over the lines that I already have right here. And look at this. If I have a circle, it kind of evenly lines up with these things right here, right? One circle. So what I do is I make it transparent, I trace over them, and then I bring it down to the layers that's just over the layers where I want to replace, which is these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers, right? It's over these 8 layers that I just put down. So once I have that, I know that this is going to be my black outline. Now let's get in with my white that's covering everything, right? Which is going to be this one right here. And make that a different color too, so that we can see where it's supposed to be. So it's supposed to be like right here. So this is my white right here. And once we do that, we can basically just delete these. Oh, I'm gonna show you, I'm just gonna hide these layers right here first. And when I hide these layers, I'm gonna make this black, turn it over this, make this white, and bring it over here too. And look at that, we already have kind of like the similar type of shape that we had before. All we gotta do now is do this, put in the hair color, which is gray right here. Yeah, all we gotta do is just put in the hair color. Make sure you don't go over this right here. And then we just put in the black outline for the inner ones as well, like this. Go here, bring it all over here, and there we go. And without changing it too much, right? Because it does look a little bit different, but it's not different enough to where we notice. We just used 4 layers instead of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of these 8, and we can just delete these 8 now. Like so. And we just used half of the amount of layers for what we already had with little to no change at all. And we could just do that again 2 more times for this one and for this one over here too as well. And that is how you optimize hair that is similar. Now going on to the next point, which is going to be how to make cut bangs. We're going to be using 02 as a model right here, because we could see that her bangs are actually cut right here, just where her eye line is, and behind the eyes as well. So for this one, let's I did this one in my previous video, but I'll do it again once more right here. So for the cut bangs, what we're going to do is we're going to put a square where we want our bangs to be, or to be cut, and our bangs wants to be cut about eye length or eye height area, so about like right here. So we're just gonna put a white square over everything like this. And what we're going to do now is we're going to put in the hair pieces below the white square that we just put down right here. And when we do that, when we put in our heart pieces right here for the hair, when we extend over the square, right, it's going to naturally cut it off like so. Now one important thing here is that you don't want to extend the heart too far down, because if you extend it below the square, then the tip of the heart is going to show below the square, right? So you just wanted to keep in the budget, or not the budget, the area of the square like this right here. And we're just going to keep on doing that over and over again below the square, all the way across right here, like so. All the way across. Sometimes the hair is not, or the point is like not underneath the square. All you could do, you just bring that up above the square like so, and you'll have that sharp point. And sometimes it's all the way down here like this, to where you have this right here. Now, when you're doing this, there are 2 ways you could do the coloring now instead. Now, the most simplest way to color it, because you're gonna want to kind of hide this, right? The simplest way to color it is probably to just put an entire skin tone layer over everything like this, right? Although when you do this, it does change the color of the hair a little bit, right? But it's the most layer efficient way to kind of color everything. So now that you have this over that white square here, you don't have to worry about putting in any other color, because the skin tone color is over everything. However, if you want to be like neat about it, and you want to, let's just say you want to have the skin tone and have this hair pink like this, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to have your skin tone layer perfectly match over the square that you put down like this. Because if you don't, then the let's see, okay, because if you don't, then let's see what color this was 22. Let's make this kind of like 30 so that we could see a little bit better. 36, because if you don't have it perfectly over the square, it's gonna show little blemishes here and there. So you have to make sure that it's in the perfect position, and it's really hard to do that. But that's how you're gonna have to make sure that it's in the position, or the correct position, or you're just gonna get like white outlines or a tan outlines like you see here. And that's the kind of like nitty-gritty way to do these things, instead of just putting a entire skin tone layer over everything like this, right? Now, it doesn't have to be a square, so let's just say that let's just say that 02 had like some sort of like circular haircut, right? You could do this with the circle as well, going like this right here, like these bangs right here, right? So you could do it with the circle, you could do it with the square, you could do it with any type of shape, right? Just make sure that the ends of the hearts don't bleed throughout onto the bottom, and that is how you do the cut bangs. Now, when you're making a card, you have to take into consideration how many layers you think it's going to take you, right? And from experience, there is only a handful of hair that I'll look at first glance and say, no, I won't be able to do that. And one of them, and the most common one, is probably the curly hairstyle right here. As you can see right here, there's so many curves in here that I'll call this the forbidden curve. When you see a bunch of S's like this, right? S right here and S right here, S's. If you see a bunch of S's, just steer clear away because it's going to take too many layers to do it. And the reason being is because I'll show you here, right here, how to do these S curves, right? So for these S curves, you're going to want to do kind of like a circle of some sort, right? Right here. Let's just give it some color, right? Let's say black with yellow right here, okay? Like so. You're gonna want to then come in with another circle right here and kind of shape it together so that it doesn't look weird. Like here. I'd say like right here, even kind of, right? And then we're gonna come in with the white for the skin tone, right? We're gonna go here. That's our curve right there. Then we're gonna come in with our hair color in the back right here, like so. Just make sure it kind of like extends all the way to kind of get that curve. And then we're gonna need another circle kind of like over this, like this. And we're just gonna keep on repeating this process right here over and over and over again. It's gonna be black, and then this is going to be the hair color right here. And we're just gonna keep on going down the list, down until we get that curve, right? Because as you can see here, the curve's not even like that, like uniformed, right? But this is how you do like curly hair, and this just takes way too many layers to be able to complete this design for it. However, if it's just like one curve, then it's doable, and I'll give you an example of this. Hold on. For example, this is the one of the characters from Summertime Rendering. I forgot what her name was, but you can see here that she does have the S curve right here, but the S curve is only one curve right here. So we only have to worry about this one curve right here. And we can also do a heart right here instead. We could do a heart right here instead. Like so. So the curve goes over here. Like so. And then we have, let's say, we're going to kind of do this white out part, right? Or do the white area right here, or white space, I guess you could say, to make that curve, right? And this white space is going to be over this heart right here. And I'll keep it gray so that you can kind of see what I'm looking at right here. So this is going to be like the curve that it's going to be right here, like so. And let's just move this heart up a little bit so that it could look a little bit more uniformed. We're going to have that S curve right there. And then we're going to have another black over here, like so, to get that curve right there. And we'll have the S curve right here. And then we need another line right here, because if we kind of like extend this too much, it's not going to look like an S curve. Because one way I was thinking about saving layers is I could just extend this heart over, right? But if we extend the heart over, like so, the S curve is kind of look a little bit janky right here, like it's just cut. So we need to keep this like so, and kind of maneuver it to the point where it kind of looks like a continuous curve, right? Right here. And then maneuver this too. Like so. There we go. So it looks like a continuous S curve like this. And if it's just one curve, like I said in this character, then you can do it because you don't have to worry about too much, right? You just have to do this S curve over here. And then come over here with that curve that I did from Freerun, which is this curve right here, the black, right? Black. And put in the white right here for that curve. There we go. That's how you do it. Or that's how you do one that is doable. So the next point of talk is something that has to do with layering and how layering affects what is seen and not seen right here. And what I mean by that is concave versus convex, and I'll explain what I mean in a little bit. So, and this character from the best girl from Quintuplets is going to show us this. Show us what I mean by this. Now, let's try to do the hair first, just to get everything in order, right? So for her hair, we could do, this is kind of like a side, this is a side view, but I'm going to try to do it from the front view as well. So I'm going to do like a circle right here for her hair. It's going to be black. And I'm going to make it red, the red hair color right here. I should probably bring these down below the guidelines so I'd see where the hair and everything is. Okay, and then after that, let's come in with the white to kind of make that space right here for her eyes, right? So the white is probably going to be like somewhere like right here. Like so. Right here. Then let's come in with another, like a heart right here, right? We're not going to be too detailed for this because I just want to show you what I mean by the concave versus convex, right? So I'm going to have a heart right here that's kind of goes over everything right here. And let's fix this up. Let's make this a little bit smaller like this right here. Okay. Then let's go over here and add in the other piece of her hair, which is over here. It goes like this. Make that black. Red. Copy it. Give that white too. So, like this. Okay. So what I mean by concave versus convex is that when we're putting in her eyes, right, as you can see, both of these pieces of hair is kind of like covering her eyes a little bit, but one is going to be infinitely easier to do than the other. So let's just pretend that this heart right here is her eyes, okay? So when we're doing her eyes, for the concave version right here, we can put everything behind this heart that we put down, right? And it's gonna cover all the blemishes, all the stuff that we need to do right here, fairly easily, because we could just do this, just do this black, right? Let's just pretend that we're just doing the eyes right now. And I'll have another tutorial for eyes as well later down the line as well. Right here, right? So let's pretend, yeah, we're doing her eyes, right? So as you can see, everything's kind of covered off, or like covered by this this heart right here, right? So we don't need to make everything in here neat like that, because we can just cover it off with the heart. Now, when we go over here, we can't do the same thing because of how the layers work on this concave side, right? As you can see, her hair is covering up like kind of like her eyelashes right there, right? And it's going to be, we're gonna need to do something like this for her eyes, right? And we can't do that because of how the layering system works. Because if we try to bring this underneath this piece of hair that we put down, it's gonna be underneath this white circle that we put down. So the only course of action is to actually just have this over the entire piece of hair like this, right? And when we do that, stuff like this happens to where the eye goes over the hair instead of the hair going over the eye. And there's a fix to this. However, if you're doing any type of hair that's not a solid color, so let's say that you want to make this a little bit darker, you could do this like this, right? Make the hair a little bit darker. It's gonna show through the little blemishes. So what we can do now is, we could take a kind of like a square of the hair color, right? And block it off like so. Now we have that little piece of square that covers the eye. However, like I said, if you're trying to do like a different hair color that's not one of these base colors, and you're trying to like change the transparency and get the color right, you're gonna notice that this piece that you put down is like showing through, because you can't, this layer is over everything else. And what you're gonna need to do now is you're gonna need to get like whatever color that you had it, or trying to get transparent. So let's just say you're trying to get it darker, right? So underneath that is kind of a black layer. So you need to get that black layer and try to match the tone, or try to match the color of the hair if you want to do that, and get that little stick in there like so. But as you can see, it's not gonna always be perfect. You're gonna have little blotches of discoloration here and there right here, but at least it kind of like fixes the problem, but it doesn't fix it fully. And that is the difference between concave and convex, and how you'd fix it. So the next point that I want to talk about is, what if you have a character whose curved hair goes over her face and onto the body? How do you do that? Well, I'll show you guys how to do that. And the perfect example of this will be Takagi-san right here, because as you can see, she has a really, really long curve, like a long piece of hair that goes off of her face and into her body area. And the reason why this is difficult is because if you have, let's just say, if you have a face like this, right? If you have a face right here, and the curves, or the curve of the hair is above the face, you could do something like this. So let's just say, like with the free run, right? Like with the free run one, we could do the hair like this. The hair is above the chin and everything, right? So this is black, this is white, and right here. I'm not gonna put in the hair color, but let's just pretend that this is how the face is, right? And there's gonna be a bunch of bangs right here and another hair right here. Well, this is easy because the heart or her chin is going to be underneath everything so that it doesn't coincide with each other. However, in this situation right here, the bangs are going to be super long, like so, and go over the entire body. So let's just try to do that real quick. I'm just going to make it black, give it a little bit of brown, right? And then give it a little bit of white right here. So the reason why this doesn't work is because when we put in the heart right here, right, or when we try to put it in her chin, it's gonna go over, like I said before, with the concave, it's gonna go over this if we're not careful, right? If we're not careful, it's gonna go over. So what we can do is we have to be very, very, very careful with how we do the chin right here, and not go over this line right here, like so. We're going to need to be very, very careful with how we do these things so that the line doesn't go over the hair. And then we're just going to color all that in right here with the skin tone. So this is, let's see right here. Like so. And then this is, now when you do this, you're gonna need to have kind of like 2 layers of coloring, because this right here, this circle right here, cannot be the skin color because it bleeds through to the bottom right here. This needs to be another color right here, which, let's just say it needs to be blue for her kind of like dress, right? Or her uniform. So it needs to be blue, like so, for the bottom part right here. So the thing that we need to do is we kind of need to color in, or have like another layer and try to color in where this is, kind of like so. So we need to have another layer on top, this white. And this white right here. So that we can color in the hair or the skin. Like so. And have the color of the uniform on the bottom, like so. And that's how we would do it for Takagi-san. And sometimes these shapes right here are kind of like weird. Sometimes you get like very sharp chins and stuff like that. So instead of just one big heart, what you would normally do is, you try to hide these. What you would normally do is you'd have two hearts right here. One for the chin over here, right? Because sometimes the angle of the face is a little bit more straight, right? So you're gonna have a heart right here, and then you're gonna have kind of like a square as well right here, and it goes off to this part right here, like so. And then what you would do is you just do the same thing. You'd go over here with the white to get that like line right there, and then this off with another white to kind of get that like chin line right there as well. And then you'd use another heart, kind of like a heart shape right here, to kind of get that little indentation of color that's missing from the corner of her face right here, like so. You do that, and then you color everything in. So the next part of doing hair is, what if you have a character with eyes that kind of like shows from underneath the hair? Like, what do? So a good example of this would be, I believe her name is Ryuko, right here, Ryuko. And as you can see here, her eyes kind of show from underneath the her red hairline right here, right? So I'm just gonna show you guys how to do that really quickly. It seems hard, but it's not as hard as you think it is. It's actually quite easy to do. So what we're gonna do now is we're going to have let's put in the eyes first, right? The indication for the eyes, and it's going to be right here. Let's say her eyes are like this, right? Let's just say her eyes are right here. Copy. Make it white. Actually, let's make it green so that it shows up a little bit easier. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to put like a red line, a circle right here. I'm going to make it transparent, the circle that is. And that transparent circle, the eye is going to show right through it. And if we want to make it darker, we're gonna need to put in the black underneath like this so that we get the line as well, right here, like so. And then when we put in this, if you want to put in this white line right here, it needs to be not covering the eye right here, right? It needs to kind of like go like this right here. But I don't think there's a need for that. What we can just do is just make it black, like so. Right here, like so. And then we got it. And then we just make this a little bit longer. We just go over here and try to extend everything, right? Like so. That, and you got the transparency you got the transparency over the eyes like this. Now in some cases you're gonna, let's just say that you want to do the transparency over this as well, so let's just make her have another eyeball over here. So let's just say that you want transparent hair over here, but you don't know how to do that. Well, one way that I found out that that I usually use is you're gonna make a couple of transparent pieces like this to go over the eyes, right? To make it look like the eyes are shown through, and then you're gonna go over it with a solid color like here, but not have it go over the eyes like this. So it's gonna be like this right here, and then it's got another solid piece over here like so. So it kind of looks like it's going over the eyes, but it's not really going over the eyes, right? It's just a couple of other transparent pieces that goes over the eyes like this. And that's how you do eyes that shows from underneath the hair. Okay, so now I'll show you guys an example of what it means to have a close-up versus non-close-up, right? Because all the examples I've been doing right now has been kind of like a full frontal view versus a close-up view. So the difference is that when you're doing a full frontal view like this with all the hair pieces noticeable, when you're putting down kind of like curves and whatnot, right? I'm just gonna do this a little bit nonchalantly. When you're putting down curves and whatnot, let's just say that you want kind of like darker hair like this, or some other, you know, hairstyles where or hair colors where you're kind of like mixing a bunch of colors together, like so. Like this, and then let's put a little bit of black over it, like so. And you know what, let's put in a little curve as well underneath all this stuff that we put down over here. Let's do kind of like a purple curve right here with a skin tone over everything like so. Let's make this white. Let's go over here like so. Let's just say that you want this to be have a little bit of purple into it, right? A little bit of purple tinge to it like so, like this. And this is just an example, but as you can see here, when we're doing this, right, if everything's in full view, you see these like tops of the hearts right here and the tops of the circle and stuff like that. Everything's gonna be in full view right here, and it's not gonna look pretty. It's gonna look like a bunch of blemishes and whatnot. And to fix this, what you would need to do is you need to cover it with you need to cover it with something, right? You need to cover it with like a solid color or whatever, like so, and then go over it with some more color, kind of like this, to kind of like block it out, right? That is what you need to do if your hair was on the canvas. Now, if it was off of the canvas, it's a totally different story right here. So this is why a lot of cards, including the cards that I have here, a lot of cards have hair that's off of the canvas, because when it's off of the canvas, right? When we do the hair off of the canvas, all those little blemishes that we had before is going to be off of the canvas and we won't be able to see them, right? So whatever like wonky hair color that you're doing, or you know, you're just trying to get some shading correct, right? Like some of this shading right here, let's just say you just want to make a Super Saiyan, right? And you just want to get some of the shading correct right here, like so. And that curve that we had in before, right? The one with the circle up top, like that. Copy. With the white. Over here. Oh, this should be underneath this too. All of this right here. So it's a little bit of darker tone. Right now we had purple, right? Let's make it purple right here. Yeah. All of this stuff, it's kind of like a weird color. Let's change it. All this stuff that we had before, all the blemishes right now are off screen. So we don't have to waste a lot of layers doing this right here because they're off screen and henceforth a little bit cleaner. I'm gonna go through the E7 Discord and show you better examples of what I'm talking about right now. Okay, so for example, right, this wonderful card right here done by Kaiking on the E7 Discord, we have a bunch of kind of like transparent layers right here, but as you can see, the overall like theme of it is that she's, you know, bending her head back, and the ends of the circles are off of the canvas right here. That's why they're able to do this, because it looks neat like this, because the blemishes, like all the blemishes are off of the canvas, so we can't see. Same thing with this one. They have a bunch of some transparent layers over here that kind of gets cut off at the very top, so you don't see like all those transparent layers coincide with each other and looks clean, right? Same thing with this one. There's a bunch of transparent layers that they're using to color the hair with right here. Some right here, some right here, and I think, yeah, some over here as well. That if they didn't cut off the top, it'll look like a bunch of circles at the top, like this. It'll look like a bunch of circles at the top like this. Copy this. Like so, right? It'll just look like a bunch of circles like that at the very top. And that is the difference between a close-up and a non-close-up. With a close-up, you're able to do more because you don't have to worry about all of these little like blemishes that you had to take care of. And that goes along with my Ellen Joe card right here too. If I didn't, you see how all these pieces are cut off at the top right here? If it did not cut off at the top right here, it'd just be a bunch of transparent layers all up here, and you're just gonna see something that you don't want to see. But that brings me to my final point, and one of the very niche uses of hair, or of how you could do hair in a card, and that is using character sprites to reduce the amount of layers you need to use for a card. For example, let's just say we're making a character with black hair, right? We're making a character with black hair. We're going to be doing all of these layers and whatnot for the black hair. And let's say we could use a character with black hair that could kind of cover everything. And this is also dependent on what characters you have. So let's just say, all right, I have Collie here, right? I have Collie here that has black hair, and let's say we have a character that has black hair over her eyes. So we could use this as kind of like the hair over the eyes, like so, like this right here. So now we don't have to waste so many layers because we already have one layer, or we use one character for one layer that could cover the eyes like this right here. And a better example of this would be something that recently came up, and it is from Stella in the card Discord. I'll show you guys real quick. So this is one of their cards that they've done right here, and this is one of kind of like a modernized ML Luna, right? Because they're a major ML Luna simp, as you could tell. But what they did here is they created the hair on the sides and made it a very, very similar color from the character sprite, so that you can't really tell a difference. And when you have those two together, it looks like her hair is moving because of the character sprite in front of it, right? And that is a very niche way of how you use character sprites for hair. Obviously, like I said before, it depends on what kind of characters you have and what color you have as well. It is very hard if you have a colored a hair character that's kind of like a different color from black and white, or different tones of black and white. It's very hard to kind of match the hair color, because if you don't match it, it's kind of look weird, right? And that is how you would use character sprites for hair in the card maker. And I believe that is going over everything that I've learned. Hopefully it covered hopefully it answered some questions that you guys had for doing hair. And of course, there's gonna be some caveats here and there to where it doesn't always follow these rules, and you're gonna have to work around them. But hopefully this puts a good enough foundation for you to where you can kind of like maneuver around the character hair that you want to do. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice one. Peace.